So today we are going to be reading The Name Jar by Yang-Suk Choi. But before we read, I want you to take a second. Take your pointing finger and write your name in the air. Let's just take a couple seconds to do that. Now, your names are important because it's what you're called and it's how people know you, right? So today we are going to be reading The Name Jar, and it's about a little girl named Yoon-hae. She just moved from South Korea to the United States, and we are going to be reading about how she faces some problems while living in her new home. There are 7 words that I want you to keep in mind when you hear them. The first word is Korean characters, name master, graffiti, kimchi, wrinkled her nose, souvenir, and identity. The Name Jar by Yang-Suk Choi. Through the school bus window, Yoon-hae looked out at the strange buildings and houses on the way to her new school. It was her first day, and she was both nervous and excited. She fingered the little block of wood in her pocket and remembered leaving her grandmother at the airport in Korea. Her grandmother had wiped away Yoon-hae's tears and handed her an ink pad and a small red satin pouch. "Your name is inside," she said. "My name?" Yoon-hae had wondered. Again, she took out the red pouch to look at the wooden block with her name carved in it. As she ran her fingers along the grooves and ridges of the Korean characters, she pictured her grandmother's smile. Yoon-hae is leaving her home country to an entirely different country. How do you think she feels, and how would you feel? We do see Korean characters, and Korean characters just mean Korean alphabets. So they don't look exactly like English alphabets. So when you write A, that isn't the exact same way as Koreans would write their letters. "Is that thing for show and tell?" a boy asked Yoon-hae, surprising her. Yoon-hae looked up as more kids leaned over her. "No, it's mine," she answered, quickly putting the pouch back in her pocket. "Are you new here? What's your name?" a girl asked. "Yoon-hae," said Yoon-hae. "Une?" the girl asked, scrunching up her face. "Oh, Une," some kids chanted. "Oh, no," Yoon-hae corrected. "It's spelled U-N-H-E-I. It's pronounced Yoon-hae." "Oh, it's you-hae," the boy said, "like you-hae. What about hey you?" Just then the bus pulled up to the school and the doors opened. Yoon-hae hurried to get off the bus. "Yoon-hae, bye-bye," the kids yelled as they left. Yoon-hae felt herself blush. Yoon-hae stood in the doorway of her new and noisy classroom. She was relieved that the kids on the bus had gone to another room, but her face still felt red. "Aren't you going in?" a curly-haired boy with lots of dots in his face. "You're the new girl, right?" he asked cheerfully. Yoon-hae nodded, and before she could walk away, the boy took her hand and pulled her through the door. "Here's the new girl," he announced, so loudly that the teacher, Mr. Kokodas, almost dropped his glasses. Mr. Kokodas thanked him and greeted Yoon-hae. "Please welcome our newest student," he said to the class. "She and her family just arrived from Korea last week." Yoon-hae smiled broadly and tried not to show her nervousness. "What's your name?" someone shouted. Yoon-hae pictured the kids on the bus. I haven't picked one out yet," she told the class, "but I'll let you know by next week." As Mr. Kokodas showed her to her desk, she felt many round and curious eyes on her. "Why doesn't she have a name?" she heard someone whisper. "Maybe she robbed a bank in Korea and she needs a new identity," the boy replies. "Wait, Yoon-hae does have a name. Why do you think she told the class that she didn't have a name?" Maybe she was afraid of being teased again, like how she was on the bus. Or maybe not teased, but she was just embarrassed of how people couldn't say her name. Alright, so let's keep it. On the bus home, nobody teased her, but Yune kept thinking about her name. How was school, Yune? Her mother asked her when she walked in. Did you understand the teacher? Yune simply nodded. She unpacked her school bag and set her red pouch by a photograph of her grandmother. I'm glad you are learning English well, her mother said. You must study hard, behave nicely, and get good grades to show that you're a good Korean. I will, replied Yune. But I think I would like my own American name, she said quickly. Her mother looked at her with a surprise. Why? Yune is a beautiful name. Your grandma and I went to a name master for it. But it's so hard to pronounce, Yune complained. I don't want to be different from all the American kids. You are different, Yune, her mother said. That's a good thing. Yune just wrinkled her nose. So we have two words here. We have wrinkled her nose. What do you think it means to wrinkle your nose? Or what do you think Yune means when she wrinkles her nose? Maybe she's disagreeing with her mom. Maybe that's her way of saying no. And a name master. Name masters have the ability to choose a good and beautiful names. Parents like to go to name masters to help pick out a good name for their babies. Later that day, Yune and her mother went grocery shopping in their new neighborhood. They passed Fadil's Falafels, Tony's Pizza, and Dot's Deli. A big graffiti-painted garbage truck roared like a lion as it took off down the street. Nothing sounded or looked familiar until they got to Kim's Market. Her mother picked up cabbage to make kimchi. It's a Korean-style spicy pickled cabbage and other vegetables and meat. She also found some seaweed, Yune's favorite, for soup. It made Yune smile. Just because we moved to America, her mother said, doesn't mean we can stop eating Korean food. Kimchi is one of our vocab words, and it's a Korean-style spicy pickled cabbage. So it's like pickles, but it's with cabbage instead, which is pretty good. And it's also spicy. Can anybody eat spicy food? Oh, I'm not very good at eating spicy food. But kimchi is something that Koreans like to eat and make at home. At the checkout counter, a friendly man smiled at Yune. Helping your mother with the shopping? He asked. Yune nodded. I'm Mr. Kim, he said. And what is your name? Yune, she answered. Ah, what a beautiful... Doesn't it mean grace? Yune nodded again. My mother and grandmother went to a name master for it, she told him. A graceful name for a graceful girl. Mr. Kim said as he put their groceries into bags. Welcome to the neighborhood, Yune. That evening, Yune stood in front of the bathroom mirror. Hi, my name is Amanda, she said cheerfully. Then wrinkled her nose. Hi, my name is Laura. Maybe not. Her smile turned down. Nothing sounded right. Nothing felt right. I don't think American kids will like me, she worried as she began to brush her teeth. Hi, my name is Susie, she said in the mirror with her mouth full of toothpaste. The next morning, when Yune arrived at school, she found a glass jar on her desk with some piece of papers on it. Yune took one out and read it out loud. Daisy. That's my baby sister's name, but she said you can use it if you want, said Cindy, who sat next to her. Yune took out the rest of the paper. Tamala, she read. I got it from a storybook, said Nate. She was smart and brave. Yune nodded and unfolded another piece. Wednesday? Yeah, you came here on Wednesday, said Ralph. Thank you. Thank you for your help. A smile spread over Yune's face. Ralph quickly said, We'll put more names in it. You can pick whatever you like, or pick them all, and you'll have the longest name in history. At 3 o'clock, the bell rang for the end of the day of school. Yune looked out the window and saw it was sprinkling. It's the same ring, she thought, but a different place. She watched other kids leaving in groups. Hey, a familiar voice called out to her. Yune turned around to see the curly-haired boy again. I'm Joey, he said. And you? Do you have any name? Yune thought for a moment. Well, I can show you, she said. And she took out a small red pouch. She pressed the wooden block on the ink pad and stamped it on a piece of paper. This is my name stamp, she said. My grandma gave it to me. In Korea, I can use it to sign signatures when I open a bank account or write a letter. And whenever I miss my grandma, I use it to fill a piece of paper. Want to try it? She offered the stamp to Joey, and he carefully inked the stamp and pressed it hard on the paper. The red characters gleamed against the whiteness. Wow, that's beautiful, Joey said. Can I keep the paper? Sure, Yune said. And then the two of them shared the umbrella as they walked to the school bus. What do you think Yune means when she said it's the same rain but a different place? Maybe she means that it's the same type of rain whether she's in Korea or in America. The world seems a little bit smaller that way, doesn't it? What do you think is so important about her name stamp? Her name stamp. Of course it's important because you get to do big things with it, like open a bank account and do a signature. But I think it's also important because this is her name. It's what her parents called her. It's who she is, right? Every day the jar got fuller with more names, and Yune read them all. She found a few names that she liked. Miranda, Stella, Avery. They sounded interesting. I hope you choose the name I put in, Markle told her at snack time. I've put in 3 more, said Ralph. Madison, Park, and Lex. They're my favorite street names. Maybe you should close your eyes and draw a name, Rosie suggested. Ralph frowned. That's silly. What if she doesn't like the name she draws? Well, we didn't get to choose our names when we were born, did we? Rosie argued. Everyone thought about this. When Yune got home from school that day, her brother ran to give her a letter. It's from Grandma. She quickly opened it. It said, To my Yune, I hope you are enjoying your new school and new friends. Be sure to help your mother and your little brother. Here the moon is up, but there the sun is up. No matter how far apart we are, and no matter how different America is from Korea, you'll always be my Yune. Your grandma forever. Yune took out her wooden stamp and filled a paper with it. She thought for a long time in front of the bathroom mirror. On Saturday, Yune walked to Mr. Kim's store. Mr. Kim was helping a customer, but he looked up and greeted her. Oh, hi, Yune. Hello, Mr. Kim, Yune replied. She felt as if she was back in her old neighborhood in Korea. Hey, said the customer, turning around. It was Joey. Your name is Unyi? He asked her with his eyes open wide. Yune looked quickly at Mr. Kim, then turned to Joey. She nodded slowly. It's pronounced Yoon-hae. It means grace, Mr. Kim added. Yoon-hae, Joey said slowly, this time perfectly. It made Yune smile. I'll have it ready for you tomorrow, said Mr. Kim to Joey. Thank you, Mr. Kim. See you on Monday, Yune, Joey said to her. He left before she could ask him why he was at the store. What do you think Joey was doing there? On Monday, Yune came to class early to look at the names one last time. But the jar wasn't on her desk. Instead, there was just a single piece of paper with a name on it. Yune slipped it in her pocket. Where is your name jar? Ralph asked as soon as he saw it was gone. I don't know, said Yune. It wasn't on Mr. Kokoro's desk or on any other desk, and it wasn't on the counters or any of the shelves. As other kids arrived, they helped to look. Soon Mr. Kokotis came in and Ralph shouted at him, "The name jar is gone! The name jar with all the names in it!" "Gone?" Mr. Kokotis replied, with a look of concern. He asked Yune, "Did you get a chance to read all the names?" Yune nodded. She took a breath. "I'm ready to introduce myself," she said. What do you think's gonna happen? Do you think Yune chose a different name? Let's find out. Yune wrote her name in both English and Korean on the chalkboard. "I liked the beautiful names and funny names you thought of for me," she told the class, "but I realized I liked my name best. So I chose it again. Korean names mean something. Yune means grace." "Grace, Grace Inhe," shouted Ralph. Everyone tried to say it. Yuna-hei, un-hei, un-hei. Yune said her name again slowly and carefully. Soon the kids began to say it better, even Mr. Kokotis. They applauded Yune's choice. "I was named after a flower," Rosie whispered to Yune. "Lots of American names have meanings too," Mr. Kokotis reminded everyone. When the class was dismissed, Yune heard her new friends say goodbye. "Goodbye, Yune. See you tomorrow." "Bye, Yune." Yune said goodbye and then looked for Joey, but he was already gone. Yune, come downstairs," Mother called up to Yune. "Your friend is here." Yune rushed down to see who she meant. There stood Joey. In his arm was the name jar. "Where did you find it?" asked Yune breathlessly. Joey looked embarrassed. Well, I took it. But only because I wanted you to keep your own name. And you did." He reached in and pulled out the names. "Do you want to keep them?" he asked. "Thank you. I'll keep them as a souvenir," Yune said happily. Then she pulled out the piece of paper from her pocket. "Do you want this back?" Joey grinned. "You can keep it. I'll return the name jar to the class. Maybe you could put some Korean nicknames in there for us. Names with good meaning." "I could do that," agreed Yune. "I've already got a Korean nickname," Joey said. "Mr. Kim helped me choose it." So on this page, we see the word souvenir. Souvenirs are things or objects that remind us of a good memory or of a good time. So for Yune, she's keeping the names as a souvenir because it reminded her of the very first time she came to school. Carefully, he pulled a small silver pouch from his pocket. Then he took a dark wooden stamp with beautiful Korean letters carved sharply into it. He pressed it on the ink pad and then on the piece of paper next to her name. "Chinku," read Yune. "That means friend." And Chinku smiled back. The end. So for a vocabulary activity, there were 7 vocabulary words that I wanted the students to know, and I would do like a card sort with them, and they would have to match up each card according to its definition. So one card would have the vocabulary word, and then another card would have the simple written text of the definition, and on the back a picture of it. And students would first match up the words according to pictures, and then they would do another round matching it up by reading the text. Another comprehension activity that I would do with the students is completing a name jar sheet. I would compile each student would get a sheet like this, and they would complete it, filling it with different information about them. So for example, in the star I like to sing, and so I drew in a whole bunch of musical notes in it, put my name on the top, on the lid. In the rectangle I put that I like to go shopping. It's one of my favorite things to do. So I drew a picture of me going shopping. In this little bubble I put that I was born in Kansas City. In this one, I put that my favorite animals are turtles, and so I drew a little turtle. And in the heart, I drew what was most precious for me, and I wrote, "I love my family." So in each box, students are to draw and write one sentence about who they are. The information can be about anything related to the student. So for the heart, I want the students to write something that is meaningful to them, something that they love dearly. And the star, I want them to write something and draw something of a time or a moment where they felt like they were on top of the world, like they felt like a superstar. In this box, I want them to tell me where they're from. So whether they're from Kansas City, whether they're from California, Colorado, from Mexico, wherever country they're from, or wherever place they are, I want them to write that in this box or on this bubble. This next one, I just want them to tell me what they like. So this could be, I like your favorite animal, or this could be your favorite sport, or your favorite instrument, whatever they want in this one. And in this one, I just want them to tell me a characteristics or a hobby that they like to do. Like, I like to read, or I like to draw, or whatever. And then I would simply collect every student's name jar sheet and just hole punch it, and then create a book out of it. And students will be able to flip through the book and see their peers' drawings and get to learn a little bit more about their peers.